Good evening and welcome to the South County Fire Board of Commissioners regular board meeting for March 17, 2026. I'll go ahead and call us to order. Ask everybody to please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, board members, you have in front of you the draft agenda, and for the draft agenda, did you want to, Commissioner Furnoff, you want to remove 11D?
Yeah, from your packet 11D, there was the establishment of a, what's the title? A Preparedness and Resilience Committee. I think what we are going to do is recommend that go to a work group level rather than a committee level. However, in the future, if we find that it does rise to that necessity, then I'll bring it back to the board.
So we'll strike 11D from the proposed agenda. Is there anything else for the agenda? Chief, anything else for the agenda? I don't think there. Okay. If not, I'll move the adoption of the agenda as amended.
I second that.
Seconded by Commissioner Chan. It's been moved and seconded to adopt the agenda as amended. Is there any discussion on the motion? Any discussion on the motion? If not, we'll move to a vote. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Passes unanimously. That takes us to the consent agenda, which is item number 4, which includes the March 17, 2026 claims vouchers totaling $932,233.13. I'll move the adoption of those, the consent agenda, including those claims vouchers. Is there a second? Second by Commissioner Wittes. It's been moved and seconded to adopt the consent agenda items. Is there any discussion on the motion? Any discussion on the motion? If not, we'll move to a vote. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes unanimously. That moves us forward on the agenda to item number 5, which is approval of the meeting minutes. And tonight we have the meeting minutes for February 17, 2026 regular meeting, the March 3rd, 2026 regular meeting, and the March 10, 2026 work session. I will move the adoption of those sets of meeting minutes. Is there a second?
Can I amending that? Because can you vote on each one? Because I will vote no on the March 3rd.
Sure, I'll
Take that off
change,
then.
well, I'll change my motion and we'll just do them one by one.
Okay.
First, there'll be my motion to approve the February 17, 2026 regular meeting minutes. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Second by Commissioner Winkelmann. It's moved and seconded to adopt the February 17, 2026 regular meeting minutes. Is there any discussion? If not, we'll move to a vote. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes unanimously. Next up, I'll move the adoption of the March 3, 2026 regular meeting minutes. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Fernhoff. It's been moved and seconded to adopt the March 3, 2026 regular meeting minutes. Is there any discussion on the motion? If not, we'll move to a vote. All in favor, please say aye. Any opposed?
Abstain.
Nay. Abstain, and one abstention. Motion passes on a 6-0-1 vote. Commissioner Chan abstaining. And then that moves us forward to March 10, 2026 work session. I will move the adoption of those meeting minutes. Is there a second?
No, I mean,
Oh, Commissioner Lawrence. Commissioner Lawrence seconds the motion. So it's been moved and seconded to adopt the March 10, 2026 work session meeting minutes. Is there any discussion on the motion? Any discussion on the motion? If not, we'll move to a vote. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes unanimously. All right, that moves us forward to item number 6, which is public comment. We'll start first in the room, then go to Zoom. Starting first in the room, is there any request for public comment this evening? Any request for public comment? Not seeing any request for public comment in the room. Let me go to Ms. Blankenship and see if we have any request for public comment on Zoom.
We do not.
Ms. Blankenship, thank you. I'll come back one last time to the room and ask if there's any request for public comment in the room. Not seeing any request for public comment. Thank you. We will move forward then in the agenda to item number 7, which is the Fire Chief's report. And good evening, Chief Maxwell.
Thank you, Chair, Commissioners, and guests, liaison. Just a couple of things. For the Chief's report, I sent you all the notice of the incident we had in the parking lot with the unwelcome visitor. We've just had an uptick, graffiti, fence cutting. We actually had a vehicle stolen in broad daylight. Um, the we're just starting. I think we've reached a point in this area where we've got to look at our security differently. And so the facilities team, led by Chief Curtis, is starting to look at what are our options, what are those smartest options, whether it's people, whether it's monitoring. You probably noticed that we're going to probably work on a more of a protocol to have the gates closed more often because people are just going in. And some immediate things we can do is some changes in the vegetation so you can see through better, and then removing we're going to move our cars that we cut off the lot. So we're going to do some physical changes to get started, and then we might come back to you with more sophisticated recommendations or requests. The other thing I wanted to talk, Tulalip Bay Fire approached us about engaging in discussions about an ILA. They think we do a really good job with the EMS, and I tend to agree. And they were wondering how they could work under us, potentially under our medical director, and use our model, come to our run reviews, our education, but they would maintain all their own certs and everything, but they would fall under our model and have an agreement and probably compensate us to come under the management of theirs, but they will manage the individual certs. So probably coming to you in the future to discuss that further. But and then soon here we'll have Chief Curtis bringing another modifying our ILA with Central Woodby and sharing their boat mutual aid and maybe some exchanging some vehicles. And that actually Tulalip's talked about exchanging different vehicles. Things we're surplusing, the things they don't need that we could need or could use, such as trailers or UTVs and different things like that. So I think it's some really good stuff and some really good government working together to collaborate, to save money and exchange goods for what everyone needs. And other than that, the majority of our work is working on this capital facility plan. That's a big part of the work we're doing right now. And with that, I will conclude my report.
Questions for the chief from the board members? Commissioner Chan, Commissioner Furlong? Yes, and Commissioner Lawrence. So we'll go to Commissioner Chan.
Yeah, did you report that incident to the sheriff?
Yep, they were here within 2 minutes.
Okay.
We called them. We called them to assist us in the moment.
Okay, you were there, right? I saw the report.
I was there. Yep.
Did you fight the guy or what? You have your axe?
I'm the last guy that you probably should. I mean, we were fortunate. It was not fortunate. It was Chief Sherman with a law enforcement background, knew how to handle the situation. And then when the sheriff's office got here, they quickly mitigated and took care of the situation.
So did he get arrested?
Yes.
Okay. So I think before that, I mentioned to the sheriff and saying that basically it is really not, to me, it's not acceptable, this whole area with 2 schools in here. And I know that from staff, they saying this, they actually dealing drugs, the car right in there. And because of trail and to it, I think we really need to, I definitely appreciate you're going to do all the things that to protect our staff. But I think just shutting down more, closing down more is not, appropriate, such a way that the public cannot reach us, okay? And then I think we need to make a big deal of this whole area. The sheriff they got to have a way to patrol more, dead end streets and everything else. I want solution from them because it's not good. I mean, we have 2 schools in here.
Yeah.
The drug dealers are coming by and all that stuff is not a good PR. Is not I don't know. I mean, just we got to make a big fuss out of it.
I appreciate that, Commissioner Chan. I will say that law enforcement has a significant presence in the area and they're extremely fast and responsive. The sheriff's office are. I reached out to the sheriff and thanked her directly for the incredibly good response. And I offered that if the sheriffs want to park their vehicles here, they can. And we actually have a state trooper that's going to start parking here. So we'll have some law enforcement vehicles in the parking lot. Um, I I too struggle with access. And we've talked about when people come up, we could have a video where people could
Right.
click in. But the in this modern age of the internet and email and cell phones, the public coming here is extremely rare, like a few times
Yeah.
a week. So we don't have a lot of people coming here, but we would create a method so that they can access it. We have probably more problems with the wrong people coming here right now.
Right, but I think it's critical. We have add more video on the fans in
Yep.
there. Make sure, hey, smile you in the picture, and then there got to be RCW about people come into government property. It's got to be RCW, like I don't know.
We do have, yeah, when
Posting on the fans,
Yep.
it basically is a serious offense. You come to hear.
yeah, we do have some signage. Chief Curtis is in the audience listening, and it was Chief Curtis's idea to do the video monitoring, and so
Yeah.
he is on top of it, sir.
Yeah, no, that's good. I mean, maybe penalty by death or whatever it is. They're posting there. I have a half jokingly, but it is serious. My concern is
And
really,
we are taking it very seriously.
yeah. Okay, thank you.
Commissioner Fernhoff.
Good morning. Chief, you and I talked earlier, and you wanted a little bit of time to talk about some of the preparation things that you've done. We removed from the agenda the Strategic Preparedness and Resilience Committee, but I think you had asked for some time. Do you feel like this is the appropriate time for that, or do you want to do it later?
I'm happy to, if that's what you and the chair, if this is the time you
Well, in your
want it.
chief's report, you said you had some highlighted items that you were kind of
I do.
excited about.
Well, I'm happy to talk about it now or during that period.
Well, when we took that from the agenda, so now's probably the best time.
Okay. Perfect. Thank you. So I'm gonna stay high level. I can tell you we've done a lot more, but for operational security, I'm gonna keep this at high level. I will say, and this was all in the works before the geopolitical unrest that you brought up. And I have to give a lot of credit to Captain Willis and Shawnery Guzman. So some of the things that I think the board would be happy to hear is probably for the last year we've been working to become a joint hazard assessment team, a FEMA team, and we are now recognized as a Type 1 FEMA team for joint hazard assessment. And we're capable of a lot. I'll just leave it at that. We are capable of a lot, but we have the same capability as the civil support team at JBLM. And as far as the state recognizes, JBLM in the South, Seattle, and we are the capability from here to Canada. So
Wow.
we are professional grade on that. And we have a high level of capability I'll talk about some of the gaps because I'm sure there's a special gap analysis that FEMA has done, and we've done that gap analysis, and I'll talk about that in a minute. We're working collaboratively with NOAA and SNOCOM to work on plume notifications, a joint plume notification. Where we're trying to build in is we have high capability, but we're trying to build out our hazmat team to have capacity, if that makes sense. We have incredible relationships with FBI, Secret Service, Seattle Fire, better relationships than we have ever had and better collaboration than we've ever had in our history of working together and sharing information. We're doing a full live drill up in Everett in April with multiple issues all at the same time. Moulage people, it's a full tilt drill coming up in April.
I hope you invite me.
You're welcome. I think it's April 6th, so we can coordinate on that. We before all this, we started updating our MCI plan, but it was just time. We were doing all that as normal. As also course of business, we were doing analysis on all of our body armor, but we were doing that anyways. And then, as you know, as the board approved, probably right around June 1st, our new hazmat truck should be here, and so we'll have that capability as well. And so then the other side of it is, so we're type 1 FEMA team on that. One of the 3 capabilities in the state. And so the other thing that's really impressive is our work with CERT. Another thing, so let me talk about CERT a little bit. We're the only agency that kept going strong with CERT through COVID, through the pandemic, which kept us ahead. But FEMA came out and changed, as you know, tons of rules about CERT. And we've adapted to those. So one of the things we changed, instead of having a 6-week course, we would lose 50% of people over 6 weeks. We changed it to a 3-day weekend course. So we do it all at once, and we have almost a 99%. We went from 50% attrition to 1% attrition by adapting that and changing with the new FEMA rules. And we've also changed the model. So we train them, we communicate with them, we send them back to their cities. They're not ours. And these are part of the new FEMA rules. So we train them, but the responsibility of the city. So the city goes back, we will do refresher training and take care of them. It's the city's team, each of our cities' teams. And they don't have emergency managers. There's only hardly anyone has emergency managers in the cities in this county. So DEM activates them. So we train them, the city owns them, and DEM activates them. And I actually just met with the DEM director today. I'll talk about that in a minute. But the county is looking at that, and the county said, well, that should probably be the model, the way we train them, send them back to our cities, the 3-day class. So then yesterday and today, the state CERT coordinator, who reports directly to the governor, has been here in this building for the last 2 days. And he's saying, well, this should probably be the state model. So we're doing very well in CERT. We train about 100 new CERT people a year, and we go out to all the HOAs and schools, hospitals, and we train thousands in preparedness. And then this year we're expanding out into the faith-based community, the churches, and they've asked for us. So we are training thousands of people in preparedness in addition to the CERT. So probably we're going to be the county and the state model. And then we've done a lot around here to bolster ourselves up just for the current conditions we're in, and kind of restocking like we did in COVID with MREs, water, fuel, making sure that we're solid in case there's any supply chain issues, so that we can have continuity of operations. So looking at us, looking at the future, and I was going to bring this to you in a future roadmap, but this all fits together. The Seattle, the metro area is coming up into here. And with that, all the energy issues, we're becoming more industrialized. So in addition to all of this, and then we've had a team, but we have all these different people kind of managing. We have marine, we have wildfire, we have technical rescue, and that's trench, surface water, ice, confined space, high-low angle. We have our hazmat team. We have WMD and terror capabilities there. And then mass casualty. So we have a lot of special ops. And now we're starting to get into where almost every other month we're having events, big events with 3,000 and 4,000 people that we need to probably, as you see the state of the world, prepare differently, monitor these events differently, and be leaning differently in how we do that. That's us maturing into a metro organization like we've been talking about, hazmat monitoring, drone monitoring, so that we're prepared for those events. So one of the So I guess a couple of things that I think we need to move in the future. One, departments our size have a special operations, someone who a chief, like Everett for over a decade has had a special operations chief. We don't have one, but for all those reasons that when I say we're big, we need to catch up, we need a special operations chief to be overseeing all this, planning all this, preparing all this, probably being a liaison with DEM. Chief Eastman was, as you probably remember, working on ILA for DEM to help with some of our planning and updating of all that rather than us taking that on. And actually, DEM, the director, was here today asking where are we at with that. And so, you know, with the board's blessing, re-engaging with them to help us make sure we have all of our planning correct and how we engage with DEM to do that kind of work. And then there's some, we're fairly well equipped with monitoring equipment, but there's probably a few more pieces of equipment to be there. But then other things like I talked about, you know, with Tulalip, with maybe if we get into an ILA and start trading things with them, one of the things they would like to trade is a UTV. And a UTV would help us with these large events. And we've had events where we've needed a way to transport a person out of the crowd. And so this would give us that capability, and we could probably just trade a medic unit we're going to surplus and get a one of those UTVs to do that. So these are the things. I'm kind of jumping ahead on what I was going to be asking for over the next few months, but it fits with the topic. So there's a lot, but like I said, with operational security, I think I need to stay at that level. So I hope that answers your question.
Thank you, Chief. And again, you know, we're not talking about expansion and mission creep of normal daily operations. We are, did you say that our AOR is from Snohomish to the Canadian border? That's
Well,
a large area.
There's only 3 of these teams in the state, and we're one of them.
And that's remarkable. And really, my hat's off to everybody. We live in unusual times. We don't have predictability what's going to happen tomorrow. And when the bell goes off, we all have to be able to stand up and respond in a meaningful way. And we'll get into this at some point more in depth, but I think that gave us some foreshadowing of what you might be asking for in the future. And I'm really pleased to see everybody that you mentioned. I can't remember all the names, but please extend my gratitude to them and know, and I'd like the public to know that we are leaning forward. We are not reactive. We are leaning into this. We are preparing. We're identifying gaps. And if you need to come to the board for things like special expenditures, policy change, whatever that's where we fit into that as your policy group up here. So thank you, sir.
I appreciate this. And we've been working on this for years, as you can tell. And it was Sean Guzman and Captain Craig Willis that deserve. We have incredible people here. I mean, we have incredible people. Everything is top notch. Everything I've shown you is top notch, and they do it.
Commissioner Lawrence.
Yes, back to the gates, closing the gates. I think we should close this one as the board meeting starts at 7:10, just close it because people are going off on their own. I think Melissa, we can't close it. That outside gate can't be closed?
We would need somebody to let the members of the public in if they wish to come in.
Yeah, right, but let's see, I've been 6.5 years. I don't think anybody's ever wanted to come in after, except maybe the chair or somebody. After 7, at a certain time, nobody comes there. We could, we should.
The law, we cannot do it.
Yeah, well,
That's an open meeting.
I don't mind breaking the law. Okay.
Commissioner Lawrence,
Yeah.
one of Chief Curtis's proposal would be to have video monitoring. They could hit a button, we could monitor it in here and let them in as a possibility. I don't know if that's acceptable.
Well, is there a time when the meeting ends, can we close it? Because still a lot of people, and Melissa's the last one to leave and that gate's open and there could be some less than a nice person out there.
Yeah, I mean, we can.
I have an email in to discuss with staff a plan for timing.
Okay.
Yeah, we are coordinating and trying to work on that,
Okay.
Commissioner.
Should I leave it to you guys then?
It's up to you.
Yeah.
Other questions on the chief's report? Chief, I did have a question for you. I want to go back to what you said about Fire District 15, Tulalip Bay.
Yes.
And it reminds me just in a little bit of some of the, I guess I would call oversight that we provided, I think for about a year for Surfer and their community paramedic program. And so I am happy to assist other fire districts around us, but I am always thinking about the cost and the cost to us and the drain on our human resources. And so if you end up coming back with something like that along the lines of an ILA, I'll be interested to hear more about how it, ideally we're not subsidizing or subsidizing to much of a degree. In other words, what are they paying for it? And also if it's a drain on our resources so that it, let me put it this way, it doesn't do me a lot of good if we agree to that, but then in exchange, you come and tell me, oh, you've got to hire somebody.
Of
Because
course.
the person that we had is now busy helping Fire District 15. It's like, well, maybe we shouldn't have helped Fire District 15 to begin with. That being said, I think it is a good idea that we can help other fire districts. We have a particular specialty in EMS and in the county. But like I like to say, the devil's in the details. So I'm curious what the trade-offs are regarding that. But I am excited that that is something that could be really interesting, that could be beneficial. It could be a win-win for us in Fire District 15, but I'll be curious to hear more.
Very fair, and we are on top of that. They want to, they said, pay their fair share and support it. They're not, looking to be subsidized whatsoever. They're offering opportunities for, maybe to collaborate, to give our volunteers opportunities with potentially, they've offered wildland training. They I see different opportunities, maybe with EMT training, where those are some of the things we've been trying to stand up, and they would love to collaborate on some of those things. And a lot of the things they would be folding into is our model. So they would attend our run reviews, our education, our, pay for our doctors' additional oversight, things like that. But managing certs and some of that, the workload stuff, the stuff that folds in pretty easy, they would do, but like managing the paperwork and the certs, they would continue to do. So I think what we're looking at would meet where kind of what you're talking about.
Great, thank you. Commissioner Lawrence, go ahead.
Yeah, does that district include the Tulalip Casino and hotel and all that?
I think it does or will. Yes. Yeah.
Well, maybe we could have a retreat up there, kind of cops, maybe, huh? What do you think?
I think we'll do our best with exchanging a fire and EMS.
Commissioner Chan.
I think it's helpful and critical to our volunteer to have Wi-Fi training. I know they love to changing bottle with the, but I know that they want to do more meaningful, something closer to fighting the fire, wildfire and that type of thing. I think that will attract more good potential volunteer.
Yeah, I think you're going to see lots of ILA activity, even with other departments coming to you in the future to I know that's one of your priorities. And quite honestly, I'll be coming to you on how do we make this real? How do we not make this someone's extra job? How do we formalize our volunteer and have a person that manages? We've been wanting to do this for decades. So I will be coming to you with asks to make it real.
Yeah, I mean, there's so much work you can do exchanging bottle. I mean,
In fact, I
and
even,
sweeping the water. I
Yeah.
mean, that's, yeah,
but we need to have official oversight and manage it if we want to grow it. And even talking with DEM, we talked about how could that team might be one step up, like from a CERT team to be used, because you have to use them and engage them and get them
Right.
experience.
right.
But we have to start managing it like it's a program here, rather than a side program.
Right. No, I appreciate that. Thank you.
Any other questions for the chief on the chief's report? Great, thank you, chief. All right, that moves us forward in the agenda to item number 8, which is the union report. And I believe we have Connor Holtum joining us tonight. Good evening.
Good evening, commissioners and staff, and guests as well. I'm coming to you from Station 76, the locker room bedrooms, so apologize for the lighting in the background. Few things to share this evening. Members of Local 1828 met with our senators and representatives in Washington, D.C. last week. There was an emphasis from the IAFF on exploring PFAS alternatives, wildfire readiness, collective bargaining rights, and support for federal firefighters. So thank you to the guys who went and did that work. We also had over 20 participants for the annual firefighter stair climb this year. We raised over $20,000 for Blood Cancer United, which is a organization that funds research and some resources for patients dealing with various blood cancers. And last but not least, happy St. Patrick's Day. We want to acknowledge the historical labor significance of Irish immigrants to the American Fire Service and the tradition they've contributed. So that's what I got for you tonight.
Great, thank you. Any questions for Connor Holtum
Yeah,
on the report?
just comments.
Commissioner Chan, go
Yeah, I
ahead.
appreciate that you're wasting $20,000 to stair climb. I think that is really important. And I know we got 20 people, 20 of us participating.
We had 24 climbers this year.
Oh, okay. Okay. That's really good. Get out to the press, get out to the people. That's great.
Mhm.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Any other questions? If not, great. Thank you very much. All right, that moves us forward in the agenda to item number 9, capital facilities planning. We start with 9A, which is a communications update from our communications director, Director Bailey. Good evening.
Good evening, commissioners. Thank you. We promised monthly updates on how our communications efforts were going as we move toward a potential bond measure in November. So I'm just here to share an update with you before we get into a few documents that we'll want to look at tonight. Just a moment here. So what you're seeing on your screen should look pretty familiar. This is the overall communications plan that we've been working on. And we are moving things along pretty well right now. So for this month, we have started filming our station videos. We finished filming a video at station 23, and that is in the editing process at this moment. We're also expecting to draft a web page by sometime next week. So we'll get that going. And then we've been working with our legal counsel on ballot language, which we'll be talking about more in just a moment. So looking ahead, I just want you to notice a couple of key dates that we've moved forward a little bit. One is a potential public hearing. Previously, we had planned for that possibly as early as April 7th. Now we're looking at a couple weeks out on April 21st. And that would put a possible vote on a resolution to move forward with the election on May 5th. And so what that will do is give you all a little bit of time to digest the documents and the information that we're going to be presenting over the next few weeks. And it will give staff a little bit more time to prepare those things for you. One thing to really keep in mind is that we are still far ahead of our deadlines. July 7th would be our last chance to file paperwork for a ballot measure in November. And then August 4th is when those items are actually due to the county. And you can see election day is November 3rd. So that's just a brief overview of our current communications plan. Are there any questions I can answer about that?
Any questions from the board on that at this point? No. Okay.
Well, if it's okay with you, I'll go ahead and move forward to talk about some of the documents that are in your packet. So we've been working with our bond counsel, Deanna Gregory, on drafting a few documents. And I'll emphasize that these are very early drafts, so they will change and be updated a bit. There's a draft election resolution, an explanatory statement, and then a draft pro-con committee resolution. Deanna is here with us tonight virtually, and I'm going to turn it over to her to give you an overview of what these documents are.
Good evening.
Good evening. Thank you. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Perfect. I appreciate that. And thank you for the introduction. As was mentioned, Deanna Gregory, Pacifica Law Group. We were bond counsel to the district. So in front of you tonight, as was just mentioned, are three key documents that are involved in this process that all election measures take to getting to the ballot. And there is a similar path that every ballot measure does take. And so some of these may look familiar, but they are all drafts of documents and early drafts. So I do want to just reiterate that there is a lot of time before these are actually due to the county. So we are in really great shape in terms of discussing the language and providing that opportunity, as was just said, to really dial into what should be included as this package and what needs to be included in front of to the voters. So I'm going to talk about these three docs. They are three of the four key pieces that are submitted to the county by the deadline that's at the end of the summer to meet that November election date. And two of these we will be back to you for subsequent approval. One, of course, as was just noted in that timeline, on May 5th, and that is the election resolution. This is a really key document because it contains the ballot language that will be reviewed by the county prosecutor for conformance with state law and then put before the voters in November. So there are some requirements that do apply to the election resolution and to the ballot measure itself. But within those requirements, within those bookends, there is a lot of discretion to provide language and to describe the reasons for why you're seeking voter approval and why this measure is going in front of voters, what the need is, what the from an operational standpoint, a fiscal standpoint, all of those important key factors that have led you to this point of seeking voter approval. And so the language that is in front of you tonight, as I mentioned, is draft language. It's kind of our first stab at running through a lot of these things and providing some of that background and that context in those recitals leading up to the resolution itself to really give that good solid background. And then some of the language, of course, is also kind of key in terms of a format and also kind of standard, more boilerplate language calling for the election and giving that direction to submit the ballot measure and this and the resolution to the county. The 2 points that, or the 2 sections of the document that we will really continue to refine and focus on are the section that discusses the projects to be financed with proceeds of the bonds if approved by voters. And that is in section 2. And here there is an art to all of this, where we want to be specific enough where voters know what they're voting for and can make an informed decision, but yet also not be so specific that that it really locks you in case there is some changed circumstances, or for example, paint colors are different than what you anticipated, or things like that. So we want to be have a good, thorough description of all of the expected uses of the bond proceeds. And it really helps paint that roadmap of what voters are considering and what they should expect down the road when the bonds are issued. The next piece is in section 5, and that is a draft ballot proposition. And this is, of course, the piece that will be included in the voters pamphlet and presented to voters in fall if you move this forward. And there is wiggle room with respect to the language and the ballot measure itself, but there are some key pieces being voter approved bonds that need to be included in the language. And there's also a word limit. There's actually 2 word limits that apply to the ballot measure itself. So as I mentioned, we will be spending some time finessing this language and really putting every one of those words to good use and having each one of those words work hard to get the message across for again, so when voters are informed of what they're considering. For a bond issue, it is important and required that we describe the project with as much detail as we can. So you'll see kind of a list there of, in a very high level overview of what the project is. And also we have to include the not to exceed dollar amount for the principal amount of the bonds. So that's really kind of what the project needs are for the aggregate project. So I know we have a blank there right now, but that will be filled in. The term of the bonds, which right now we have 25 years. And then also the language that says that in connection with the issuance of the bonds, there will be an excess property tax levied to repay debt service on those bonds. So those are the key pieces that fall into a bond measure that are different than, for example, a levied lead lift or an EMS measure, which have their own requirements. You can see in that first sentence, there is an identification of the board and the name of the authority. And then there's language in brackets that describe the general subject matter of the ballot proposition. That section in brackets in that first sentence is limited to 10 words. So we do have to be mindful about how many words we're putting in there. And then the next section, which is in its own separate kind of bucket of surrounded by brackets, is limited to 75 words. And so again, this is where that skillful drafting comes into play. And it really drives home the point that ballot measure drafting is really an art to try to get all of that information in within those 75 word limit. The words, you have a little bit of wiggle room with regard to when you start counting the words, but overall, the state law limits it to 75 words. Any questions on the resolution itself? I again know it's in draft and we'll be spending some time kicking the language around.
Ms. Gregory, I did have a question. The numbers, which are obviously blank in a lot of
Yes.
spots on the documents, those will be filled in subsequent drafts.
Correct. Yes, all of those numbers will be filled in before in all the documents will be complete before they are brought before you for consideration and possible approval.
Great, because this is just our very first look at the first draft.
Exactly. This is our very first look into the exciting document world of election ballot propositions.
Great, thank you.
Yeah, of course. So the next document that you have in front of you is another resolution, and this is the second official action that needs to be taken by the board if you decide to put this measure before voters. And this is the appointment of pro-con committee members. This can go at the same timeline as the election resolution itself. It can also follow subsequent, which I believe is the plan following the election resolution. This is also a requirement of state law, where as the legislative authority putting forth the ballot measure, you're required to appoint up to three, not more than three, individuals who are residents of South County Fire and who are willing to serve in this capacity. I will say it's a very important but a very limited job. The good news is that it's under a strict time frame, and so volunteers can be assured that they won't be held to continue this for too long, but it is a very important job. And this is where the pro and con statements that go into the ballot, the election documents, and voters pamphlet come from. So there needs to be at least one, but not more than three individuals appointed to each committee. As I said, they need to be residents of South County Fire, and they have a deadline for when a short and sweet, also limited to a number of words, either pro or con committee needs to be provided to the county. And then there's an opportunity to draft if they so choose, a brief rebuttal. So again, very important job in the election world, gives a lot of information to voters as they're reviewing their voters pamphlet. But volunteers can be assured that it is a limited role. While there can be only up to three individuals for each the pro and the con committees, they for sure can seek the guidance of others. So they can certainly work with other individuals, but for state law purposes, we do only appoint up to three. If we don't have volunteers and nobody is appointed to either committee, then the county is responsible for appointing or at least giving effort to appoint at least one to each committee. I'm sure you've probably seen it where in your voters pamphlet, there is no pro and no con committee, or one or the other, or both. And that's in the event that occurs when no individuals are, of course, appointed. So this requires a lot less wordsmithing than the election resolution, of course, but again, a very important document and very important action that will be asked of this board to have those individuals appointed to do their job under state law. The third document, which is just a draft of the explanatory statement, goes hand in hand with the first. So this goes hand in hand with the ballot measure, and it will also be included in the voters pamphlet. It's not required by state law to be considered and action taken on this explanatory statement, but it does need to be consistent with the resolution that you do consider for approval. The explanatory statement in Snohomish County is limited to 200 words. So we are again confined by the number of words, and it needs to provide in a neutral, non-biased manner information about the ballot measure, including the financial impacts. So long as those kind of outside rules are followed, there's a lot of opportunity to really give information about the ballot measure, the need for new facilities, and what the financial impact is. So again, this is another example of another document that is in very early draft form that also contains blanks, including what those financial impacts are, which until we know, of course, some more details about what voters will be asked to consider in terms of an aggregate maximum principal amount of bonds, we can then calculate what those impacts are. So I'd be happy to answer any questions, but those are the 3 documents that you have in front of you tonight. Just again, as an early preview of what these will, at least a beginning shape of what they look like at this point. As it was pointed out earlier, we are really early in the process, which is fantastic. So there's a lot of opportunity before that May 5th date to really do some wordsmithing and really get that information across and convey the intent into these documents. And then, of course, the deadline to submit everything to the county is not until August, early August. So we have plenty of time. We are really, really in really great shape in terms of the timeline.
Great. Thank you. Any questions from the board for Ms. Gregory? Any questions? No, no questions. Thank you, Ms. Gregory. We appreciate it. Thank you. Have a good day. And Director Veely, anything else on capital facilities planning or communications?
We will be back at the next board meeting on April 7th with some additional information.
That
Thank
sounds
you.
great. Thank you. And so I think that was 9A and 9B. So I think we are then ready for 9C, which is request for board approval on the contract for Station 76 sleeping rooms. This is for action, a bid to Regency Northwest Construction, and we have Chief Curtis. Good evening.
Good evening, Board Chair, Vice Chair, Board Liaisons, and guests and staff. I'm before you this evening with a revisit on Agenda Bill requesting the approval to contract services for the renovation and bedroom upgrade at Fire Station 76. Essentially, this is a building out 5 bedrooms in a common sleeping area that's separated by lockers at this point. As you may recall, we spoke about this briefly last week, and this is requesting board action for the approval for the lowest responsive bid for $191,900 plus tax to Regency Northwest Construction. And their plan is to start construction as soon as practical. So with that, I'll pause and ask for if there's any questions.
Any questions for Chief Curtis on the issue or the possible bid? Yes, Commissioner Furnoff.
Yeah, Chief, I just want to say thank you very much for putting the diagrams in here. We did request that last week, and that was highly responsive, and this gives context to things, and so I'm in favor of it, of course. So thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Any other general questions for Chief Curtis on the issue? If not, I think we are ready for a motion. I will move that we authorize the award the bid for the Station 76 sleeping rooms renovation to Regency Northwest Construction, the amount of $191,900 plus tax.
I second that.
I think I give it to Commissioner Chan. It's been moved and seconded. Commissioner Chan on the second to award the bid. Is there discussion on the motion?
Yes.
Commissioner Chan, go ahead.
I think it's real. I was there. I was in that room before. Inside there is real crowded and there's no privacy at all. And I think for that amount, $191,000. And then actually today, Mr. Connor was showing us exactly where the thing is so tight. And so I think it's worth it. I think it's critical that our people have privacy, have more comfort. And it hasn't renewed for a long, long time. Right? It was like, it seems it was built or something like that. The story I heard is that they just put the cabinet there just as a separation.
Yes, sir. I believe when formerly Fire District 7 built that
Right.
fire station, it was designed for 3 firefighters at the
Right.
time, if I'm not correct.
Yes.
Perhaps former Chief Wittes has better intel on that, 3 firefighters. And that station has since grown, and we are accommodating the additional staff with 5 firefighters and paramedics. This is a reasonable step, and on behalf of pending board action on behalf of the firefighters, very much appreciated.
Yeah, I did a ride along about 20 years ago, and I think privacy is really important for people, for the firefighter to sleep and everything else. So I totally support this.
Any other discussion on the motion to approve the bid for renovation? Any other discussion? If not, we'll move to a vote. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes unanimously. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioners. On behalf of all the firefighters assigned to Fire Station 76 and those that have floated through there, thank you very much. I know that they're very, very happy hearing this board motion, so thank you very much.
Great. Thank you, Chief. That moves us forward then in the agenda to, our out of capital facilities planning into unfinished business. Item number 10A, with organizational roadmap. Focus on EMS organizational chart for action with Chief Maxima.
Thank you, Chair Kenny, board liaisons. So coming back to you, this part of the organizational roadmap, and part of my reorg plan, our community paramedic program has grown and matured to where we need a chief to oversee it. You'll see that we've always had the EMS division, but we've matured into the CRP as it's almost its own division. They need a chief overseeing each one. And what you'll be seeing in the future is that division has grown so much between EMS and CRP. I'll probably be moving the health and safety division out so that we can have more focus on that. The two essentially divisions, I'm asking to convert the CRP captain who oversees 12 to 14 people into a CRP battalion chief, and one of the CHW's community health workers that oversees 3 other ones, basically to a lead or a CHW2. That program has matured over nearly 15 years. Dozen people at the complexity and load, as said, we're up to 3,000 people that they're seeing. We have day operations and now 24-hour operations. It's only getting busier. And so requesting board approval to convert the captain to a battalion chief and convert one of the community health workers to basically a lead position. Also reminding the board, we did have 2 captains in there and we're down to 1. So we did roll one out when one of our grants expired. So we had 2 supervisors, we dropped to 1. So Rick.
Questions from or comments from the board members on the general issue? If not, Chief, I noticed in the agenda bill, there was a $40,000 cost. Do we, not tonight, but do we need a amendment to the 2026 budget, or is this, how's the $40,000 account?
We can absorb this, and part of that is the community health worker lead. We basically bill the grant. So when we raise that pay, we just bill the grant and that's absorbed. So that doesn't even affect the budget. So the delta is only between a captain and battalion chief, and we can absorb that.
Okay. Well, then I think we are ready for a motion. I'll go ahead and move that we authorize the chief to convert one community resource paramedic captain to a community resource paramedic battalion chief and convert one community health worker one to a community health worker two, which is a lead position.
I'll second that.
It's been moved and seconded to do that. And is there discussion on the motion?
I just want to strongly state my support of this. You know, the reality is that we are the tip of the spear in this program and responding to a lot of, as the safety net to a lot of the challenges within a community. The captain currently has so much on the plate with 24/7 crisis response, care coordination, opioid response, community outreach, education, facilities programs, along with what they're doing with the community health workers is significantly impacting our community in such a positive way that I do believe that it is a necessity to start giving a voice to this program through a battalion chief. And I just, again, strongly support this proposal.
Other discussion on the motion? Any other discussion on the motion? If not, we'll move to a vote. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
Passes unanimously.
Thank you so much.
All right, that moves us forward in the agenda to new business, item number 11. And we'll start with 11A, which is ILA with Central Woodby Fire and Rescue. Related to transfer of medic units and trucks. So I think this is Chief Curtis.
Yes.
Good evening again.
Good evening again, board. So I'll give you a very high level overview of this arrangement. This started off with a request from Central Whidbey approximately a year ago to borrow a medic unit in time of need. They were facing the same challenges we have had as an agency with purchasing equipment, delayed delivery times, et cetera. So we had a unit that was readied for surplus, and we redirected that towards Central Whidbey. In exchange, we crafted an agreement which the board approved at that time for Marine Rescue Services, in addition to our Marine unit, essentially a backup plan for our firefighters on the water through Marine 5 from Central Whidbey Fire. That has evolved into an additional request for a second medic unit, the original plus a second one. And I said, well, this is great timing because the board just approved purchasing of 3 medic units, which you may recall last month, for 3 brand new medic units, which pushed 3 out into surplus. And we agreed that we could bring this before the board and extend Marine 5's response to the end of, pardon me while I confirm the dates here, December 31st, 2030 through interlocal agreement. And also they were appropriating a vehicle that they no longer needed because this medic unit would go in service or aid unit would go in service and push out what they characterized as a vehicle that they would surplus, a 2012 Chevrolet pickup truck. We have a need for that. And we said, what can we do to work out this arrangement? So before you is our suggestion for board consideration, approval of the ILA for the authorization of the fire chief to sign with Central Whidbey Island. We would exchange 2 predetermined surplus medic units in exchange for 1 pickup truck and continuation of the Marine unit response coverage along the RFA's waterfront. And I can speak with confidence, operations has already worked out and practiced the operational efficiencies of working with an agency across Puget Sound. So I'll pause and ask for questions.
Questions from the board? Commissioner Chan.
Maybe I did not read it carefully. Can you put on some market value on the one that we exchange and then versus the market value for the pickup truck plus the service on that? So I think it's very critical for us to let our voter know we did a very fair way or similar needs and being exchanged?
Yes, sir. I do not know if I do not believe the ILA speaks to that. However, I can speak to past performance at surplus. Typically, South County will send a medic unit to surplus, and we use Murphy's auction
Right.
north of us in Marysville. And in the past, we have gained anywhere from $3,000 to $7,000, depending on fair market value for a vehicle that goes in bid.
Right.
And I can tell you that the pickup truck itself is it's four-wheel drive. It's in great shape. It's not very high mileage. So when we worked with legal, we felt that the response capabilities of the Marine unit, along with that pickup truck, balanced out the value of those two medic units. I'm not prepared to give an exact dollar amount. Perhaps Chief Anderson is.
It's important to remember with the ILAs that what it was always taught to me by Richard Davis was that you don't have to have parity of value. Sometimes they don't even want that in there. I can exchange you a piece of paper for your truck. As long as we have an exchange under the law, that meets parity.
Yeah, I'm not concerned with the legal part of it. I'm more concerned about the equity of it as representing.
Yeah.
But I think it would be right because I see a lot of old ambulance, people painting a street, they're advertising. There's a one sitting there for a long time. I don't know, you're on the 128 and the 4th Avenue. You know, it was, I forgot, it was printing or something like that.
Tattoos.
So what?
Tattoos.
Tattoo, okay.
We have
See,
seen.
This prevents that, Commissioner Chan.
Yeah,
I think we have great equity here in the value of the truck compared to what we would get at auction for these units. So
okay,
I
maybe
do.
I'm half joking, I got comedy and maybe I'll get on the O and then put it in a corner and then put my name there and just let everybody know about it. So in the election, I don't need to put again.
I'm very excited to share that what are units for us that we consider starting to become costly for maintenance, repair, and upkeep.
Right,
We have a breakover point, and these units will operate successfully in lesser or slower systems where they're running less calls, and
Right.
they will be able to keep those units in service and get a second life out of it. And that's some of the accomplishments that we're able to do as far as South County Fire by allowing another agency to
no,
benefit.
yeah, I understand, but I'm not questioning, but I'm just on the record to show our voter that we carefully look at that as a pretty equitable to me, $3,000 or $7,000. That sounds right because, you know, people using it. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you, sir.
Commissioner Rowland is next. Go ahead.
Yes, so this bill was for surplusing 3 vehicles, correct?
Two.
Oh, just 2.
This would be an interlocal agreement. I have to
Sorry,
apologize. We might be a little bit cart before the horse a little bit. We're doing an ILA, and then the next action is the surplusing of the units. So
okay.
there's a little technicality.
But yes, so there's the surplusing of 3 vehicles, but 2 of these would go towards the ILA.
That is correct, sir. And I will be
All right.
asking for the board to surplus 4 when we get to that business item.
Okay, I'll wait till that business item. I do have a question about that, but we'll wait for that. Thank you.
Any other questions on the issue generally? If not, I think we are ready for action on that. I'll move the adoption of the adoption and have the chief sign the interlocal agreement for exchange of surplus property with Central Woodby Island Fire and Rescue.
Second.
It's been seconded, moved and seconded to approve that ILA. Is there any discussion on the motion? Any discussion on the motion? If not, we'll move to a vote. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Passes unanimously.
Thank you, board. On behalf of Chief Jerry Helm from Central Whidbey and the citizens of Central Whidbey, thank you very much for considering their needs. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Next up is item number 11B, which is a surplus apparatus resolution. And this is what I think Chief Curtis foreshadowed a moment ago. Chief Curtis?
Good evening for the third time tonight, Commissioners. This is a companion to the previous ILA. This is the action essentially surplusing 4 medic units. They range in high miles and age. And you can see in their apparatus numbers, one's considerably older and has actually been in Central Whidbey for over a year, and that's apparatus 145. So with that, I am asking for the board to consider a surplus resolution that surpluses 4 older and obsolete ambulances for, it says public auction. However, the ILA precludes that, and this would be for auction for the 2 remaining.
Questions from the board members generally on this issue for Chief Curtis? Any questions? If not, then I think we are ready for action on that item. So I'll move the adoption of resolution 03-172026-04, resolution to declare apparatus 145, 189, 190, 191 surplus property. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Seconded by Commissioner Chan. It's been moved and seconded to surplus those 4 apparatus. Is there discussion on the motion? Commissioner Rowland, go ahead.
Yes, so just a curiosity. We currently have the air and light unit, and we've talked about, given the size, the feasibility of having a north-south type thing. I'm just curious, I'm not talking about in this instance, but have we ever looked specifically at if it's possible to put a generator, the equipment necessary to do bottle fills in a older ambulance?
Yeah, Commissioner Rowland, we're actually looking at how to evolve that whole program, speaking to the lieutenants, having redundancy and capability north and south. And I can see us bringing proposals to you in the future for not only that, or we're looking at, we're not ready, but looking at some ILAs for some other expansion as well that we will be bringing to you in the future.
All right, just curious if I as far as size, if we've ever looked into it, that's all.
Yeah, I think I'm not an expert, and maybe Chief Curtis, but I think we would be more looking to have the appropriate rig rather than retrofitting it into an ambulance.
Okay.
Commissioner, if I may speak, Chief, if that's okay.
Yeah.
One of the leading reason for surplusing these vehicles is they are starting to creep up on maintenance costs and their high miles. We are not a slow system when it comes to EMS, so our units are heavily driven, and they have a lot of idle times. We have a rule of thumb in fleet. Even though it says there's 100,000 miles on the vehicle, we multiply that by 3 because of idle time. So to a normal individual, you'd be looking at a 300,000 mile vehicle, simply because idle time is a real killer on our motors and the vehicles themselves. So when I say that these vehicles have well over 100,000 miles a piece, they're starting to get very tired, and I wouldn't feel in good conscience about repurposing that vehicle. And I would ask that we bring a proposal forward to the board for consideration in what the chief is saying, and I support his thoughts.
Can I have a follow-up question?
Yeah. Okay, so we're still in discussion,
All
and
right.
Commissioner Chan.
Yeah, actually two things. Idle time, I never heard about. So can we reduce idle time, or that you cannot reduce idle time? Do you turn off the thing, or what? You just.
Well, there's a lot of schools of thought on that. Some agencies have tried auxiliary generators, and they have worked in different directions. However, there's risks with shutting off the vehicles. It's not an uncommon practice with the lights flashing. Need to maintain climate control, need to maintain the vehicle's charging status to leave the vehicle running on scene.
We have on scene, you have the emergency lights operating most often. And then in the winter, you need to keep it warm for when we bring the patient in. And in the summer, you got to keep it cool. So we really need to leave them running. And we don't want to risk it not starting when we have a critical patient. So there's a lot of very pragmatic reasons that we have to keep it running.
So idle time do be kind of hurting the engines to everything. It-
It's
Yes,
just-
sir,
It's just part of
Part of the.
the
okay,
operation. Yeah, yep.
Okay, maybe
They-
that answer my second
They're
question.
incredibly, they're under incredible electrical burden. It's amazing. These are maxed out with an electrical burden.
And then I'm curious, actually, I was in Station 21, I saw a whole bunch of, ambulance in there, and then suddenly I said, what's going on in there? So is that, well, my question is that, how come we don't do it, how come we do it a whole bunch together? Why rather than we do it as they come off? I'm just curious,
So, sir, if you're suggesting why are we surplusing in groups and why we're
Yeah.
purchasing in groups for efficiency, and we've become a large enough agency that we have, because there's a lot of staff time with specifying, designing, inspecting, and putting these units in service. We're trying to use an assembly line mentality, for lack of better terms. And if you're referencing the units you saw at Station 21 that day, you saw a snapshot of these 4 units that are surplus.
Oh, okay.
Going through what I call decommissioning. Equipment was being taken off. And then we also use that as a central staging point for our reserve fleet. Currently, we have 5 reserve medic units
Okay.
for our 15 stations. So you may have seen these 4 plus those 5, which seems like a lot.
Right.
Yeah,
I apologize. That's
normal
my-
business.
That's my auditor's mind when something so much as something wrong in here.
We're-
Now you answer the question.
And it's also, we're a really big operation.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Commissioner Rowland, did you have comment on here on the debate on this motion?
No.
Okay. Any other comment, discussion on the motion, which is to approve the surplus resolution? Any other discussion? If not, we'll move to a vote. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes unanimously. Thank you.
Thank you, commissioners, and your comments were very much appreciated, and they will engage some thought on my end. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next up, we have item 11C, which is a discussion about the possible support for Snohomish County Public Works Transportation Benefit District. You have the handout materials were in your packet starting at page 87 from Kelly Snyder, who is she is the Director of Snohomish County Public Works. She came and made a presentation to the Snow Isle Fire Commissioners a couple weeks ago. The County Public Works is supports all of our unincorporated area roads. They're responsible for them, and they are under constant funding issues. So they do an amazing job of leveraging their dollars. If I recall correctly, she indicated I don't think they get any dollars from the general fund at the county. It's all there's a road levy that they get their money from. But anyways, they're woefully underfunded. And the Transportation Benefit District, it was something that the county council would have to create. It would be a $20 car tab tax fee on every car in that unincorporated area, but to benefit the roads in that unincorporated area. And because we use those roads, I wanted to bring the issue before the board just for discussion to see would be interested in supporting the issue. The last I heard from Ms. Snyder, the Snohomish County Council is going to take up the Transportation Benefit District at their general legislative session on April 22nd. So it's a little ways away. That's why this is just on for discussion tonight, not for action. But I wanted to see what the flavor of the board might be around supporting, maybe sending a letter of support to the county council, saying, it'd be a good idea to support this, but discussion, Commissioner Lawrence.
Yes, I was at the meeting of the commissioners when she attended, and a very impressive administrator, had all the answers that were asked of her. Just quite impressive. Learn about the public works beyond what I knew, which was filling potholes. So it was quite enlightening, and they deserve our support. Well, we use the roads, right? But even if we didn't, as an organization, that deserves our support.
Yeah, I think she indicated this would raise potentially $6 million, which is a drop in the bucket compared to their needs, but it's something. Other, Commissioner Wittes,
Just for clarification, that's only for the unincorporated area.
only for the unincorporated area to benefit the
Right.
unincorporated area.
And it's action of the council, not a vote.
Correct. It's
Okay.
not a vote of the people. It is only a vote of the council. And that's why the possible action we could take would be to send a letter to the county council asking them to support it at their April 22 meeting. Yeah. And just a thought, if we wanted to send somebody from the board or the chief to speak, that's another possibility. But I kind of felt like potential minimum we could do is at least do a letter. Commissioner Chan.
I'm just curious, who else is supporting it, and would that be on the record?
This would definitely be on that, and that's the whole point, is to have it on the record. At this point, I can't remember who Ms. Snyder, I could find out from Ms. Snyder who else is supporting it, but she was looking for support from the fire districts because the fire districts are driving on her roads, the unincorporated roads all the time, and she thought that might be those that use them might like to see them benefited in some fashion.
No, maybe I'm just too sensitive because we're gonna have a big bond thing and then suddenly we're, sponsor anything tax increase and everything else. That's just being sensitive about it.
Any other discussion, thoughts? Well, if it's okay, I'm not hearing any big objections. I'll bring back a letter of support for our next regular meeting for consideration and possible action by the board. So that would be for the next meeting. Great, thank you. All right, that moves us forward then. Our next item is committee updates in item 12. So that moves us forward to item 12, and that starts with committee updates, Capital Facilities Plan Committee, Commissioner Wankelman.
Yep. Yesterday we had a meeting with the intergovernmental committee chair. And in that we talked about the importance of consistent bond measure messaging, which is being developed by our incredible communications team, possibly even creating a key talking points that we want to bring forward and ensuring that our messaging is the same. Also talked about possibly doing education of these messaging matrix on June 8th at our workshop.
Great, thank you. That takes us to the Finance and Human Resources Committee, Commissioner Chan. Any update?
CFO here.
CFO Bothwell.
Okay, so on Thursday, we have a meeting and we are going to have our municipal advisor present the differences between a negotiated bond sale versus a competitive bond sale. And then we also have a presentation from the IT manager about the successes of some money that was allocated for security a couple budgets ago and some changes he'd like to make going forward.
It's 1:00, right?
Is at 1:00 on Thursday.
Thursday, yeah, thank you.
Great, thank you. Let's see, then Intergovernmental Committee, that's Commissioner Wittes.
Thank you, Chair. We're having a meeting next week at 4 p.m. on Wednesday.
Great, thank you. And that takes us then to Snow 911, Commissioner Fernhoff.
Meeting this Thursday, 8:30 a.m., virtual only.
Great, thank you. All right, that takes us forward then to Commissioner comments, item number 13. Are there any Commissioner comments? Commissioner Lawrence, go ahead.
Yes, it's not 8:30 yet. I'm not ready to leave.
You still get a break.
Oh, yeah. Do we get our break?
Not if we go fast.
Okay. Yeah, once again, I know I've talked to the staff about this. We spent how much time talking about a $7,000 deal of used trucks. We spend the same amount of time on a $500,000 stuff. I just wish we could put these amount of minutes, we're going to talk about this, because it's only worth this as much of our budget, but maybe we'll never get there. But I did learn something. Now I know why people can steal these ambulances so easy. They're running. Yeah. Gee.
Thank you. Other commissioner comments?
I have.
Commissioner Chin.
Yes, well, we're gonna get over half an hour to get a break, right? I want to follow up last week. I mentioned about we are being the last resort for the homeless people and all of that. But I really think it's time for us to be vocal. Actually, it just happened yesterday. I was at the Edmonds kind of state of the city, and one of the Snohomish County members of JA meet. Actually, he and I ran at the same time and come and say, hey, Commissioner Chan, give me a call when you need something help and everything else. So it prompted me. And then I think it's really critical for us to let the county, the city, all of them know that, the housing problem is not, we don't create that. It's not big. The solution should really come from them and not us. And I do not want to continue getting looking for grant and they're not aware of it. So I suggest I think, Joe, if you guys haven't seen Joe's campaign, he's really studied on a lot about homeless, how to cure the problem, or not cure the solution to it. I think that need to be a really good public discussion with the city and county. I just came back from Mexico and Guatemala. They are much more poor station than us, but yet they don't have that many homeless. I mean, it's amazing. I mean, seriously, I think we need to really get it focused. And I suggest that, that Joe can give up some solution, or even go up to the county with another commissioner, just go up there. Just the same thing we address the firework, right? If we don't address it in front of them, the firework will never get done. It took us 10 years to get a firework solution done. But at the same time, I think we need to get the county get involved. They have a lot of funding. There are a lot of, even on state part of it. So I at least get the issue going. And that's my suggestions.
Thank you. Any other commissioner comments? Commissioner Wankelman.
I just want to say, one, I appreciate your words. Two, I absolutely agree with that. We do need to start being more vocal about this because of the impact it's having within the RFA, because of the impact it's having within the amount of 911 calls and how they're increasing. I believe I heard just earlier today from Chief that our 911 calls have increased by 33% in the last decade. And I'm certain a majority of those are the calls that the CRP program should be responding to with the BLS. So thank you for those words. I do appreciate that.
Actually, I want to supplement that a little bit. Thank you for Melissa sending us the article. I saw an article in Seattle Times. I don't know if you guys read that or not. That they contracting with a private ambulance, right? And then one of them, they're in the lawsuit. One of the persons, they wait 10 hours. I don't know you guys know any detail about it, but I used to have a condo in Chinatown. Look out on my window, like every day happened 1 or 2 or 3 times together. I have some of the homeless people, the EMS come in, is that. I don't know, that might change already, but that is really, we need to think about it. And I'm glad that we do not subcontract to our ambulances. So we can control the response time, control the problem. And I have to say, maybe you can address that a little bit on that.
Yeah, we will be coming back with things. We've talked about how do we enhance our BLS transport capability, and I think we do have a solution that we'd like to bring to the board soon on that. We use that same nurse line, although we don't use private ambulance. So if the nurse line, and that was a pilot to see if we could reduce calls, but with us, we don't have private ambulance. So it comes back to us and we respond. So we're never going to have that situation. Even though we use the nurse line to try and get people help, the right help they need without sending a fire truck. If they choose not to use the nurse line, it comes back to the RFA and the RFA responds. So it's not going to be outsourced and to have that kind of event.
I did use a nurse line. I know you remember that my brother was in my house and feeling the same thing, and they recommend call 911 right away. That's great. Thank you.
Great. Any other commissioner comments? If not, our next meeting is Tuesday, April 7th at 7 p.m. right back here at South County Fire. So in the meantime, stay safe and without objection, we are adjourned. Thank you.
Oh, no break? No break.